DDG episode 158. My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
Hey Dave, how's it going? The Game Awards were almost good enough for us to record an emergency podcast, but not quite. So that is what's going to be.
I might have been
week.
game to do that if it wasn't over at like midnight.
Hey, it was a shorter show this year by at least a half
by like
hour.
35 seconds.
Blame Christopher Judge for doing a 15-minute speech. That probably dragged it along a little too much.
Yeah, I was just like, okay. I didn't watch it, so I did I paid attention. I followed it. I didn't watch it. So.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I watched it and it drags at some points, especially when it's just two games winning pretty much all the awards. It definitely feels like it drags a little too much.
So, all right, we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that releases every Thursday on podcast services around the world. If you can leave us a review on those services, that's extra helpful. If you're able to type words and maybe write a couple sentences together on the podcast service that you use, that helps us even more, especially as we get ready to go into 2023, which sounds crazy to say. We would love to kind of grow and evolve DDG more year over year, and you guys sharing, listening, downloading helps do that, and reviewing helps us show up on other people's search engines and algorithms and all that fun stuff. So please help us with that. We also stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming, where we are a Twitch affiliate. So you can take your Amazon account and link it to your Twitch account and get Prime Gaming. One of the benefits of Prime Gaming is a free Twitch sub to the streamer of your choice. Along with a bunch of other cool stuff that is part of Prime Gaming, as well as free games also, similar to Plus and Epic Game Store and Game Pass and Games with Gold and all these other services. Prime Gaming does give out some games as well. So be sure to check those out. Sometimes they're even for stuff that's not PC only. So just be sure to check it out. And just don't let Amazon keep that $2.50 that we or another streamer could potentially get, because if you don't use the subscription, it doesn't go anywhere. So
yep.
It's always helpful to do that. So there are a bunch of other links in the show notes that you can check out to join the community and support us in various different ways if you so choose. And with that, we're going to jump into the news. And by that, I mean we're going to go into the Game Awards.
Yeah, Game Awards, a little bit shorter show, as mentioned. Just about a half hour. I think realistically it was like a half hour shorter. And I think the pre-show wasn't a full hour. It's just a half hour pre-show. So
what's your definition of significantly?
Because
that's what his words were.
If everyone's attention span is really short, then a half hour is a very significant chunk missing. I thought the show had a pretty good flow for the most part. It's just at the end of the day, at the end of the show, and you realize it's like 10 o'clock, that you're just like, shit, that might have been just a little too long. But at least in the moment, it flowed well. It's when you look back that you're like, oh, this did drag from time to time. But I thought it was a pretty good show. I know you said you didn't watch it, you were just following along, but like, I think I say it every year, but it's just like the show gets better every year. It's not quite where it needs to be just yet, but it's definitely an improvement over the previous shows. But the real reason everyone watches the Game Awards is all the news that comes out of it, all the game trailers, announcements, release dates. So, Dave, I just grabbed the stuff that I think was interesting to both of us, or potentially just to me, and I threw them in there. The first big announcement was Ken Levine's Judas was announced. It basically looks like BioShock in space. So, for those that don't know, Ken Levine, creator of BioShock, BioShock 2, BioShock Infinite, has been working on this game for quite some time. It feels like it's been kind of like stop and go on what he was working on, and they've been pretty radio silent at the new studio that he had formed. And it just turns out they're doing BioShock kind of in space. Kind of looks cyberpunky space stuff. Dave, I was dropping the trailers in the Digital Days Gaming Discord, so I'm hoping you watch this one. I don't know if you're too into the BioShock franchise, but this is interesting looking.
Yeah, this is the same. I put this question on Facebook today just because I'm kind of looking at 2023 from a gaming planning perspective of things I want to play, things I want to try to beat. And like the like long story short, like The Witcher 3 is on the list with the next gen update coming out. And then I also realized, like, as you're talking, like I haven't really played any of the BioShock games. And the part of that was, as I've told many people for a long time, up until about Destiny or Battlefield 4, I feel like first-person shooters actually made me nauseous. And I don't know if I ever just powered through them, if I got old enough that they didn't bother me, if I got, just...
Frame rates got better, I think is the thing.
Yeah, like there could have been anything, and so I think I have, I'm sure just by default, I have a small thing of BioShock collections through PS Plus or through Game Pass or something, I'm sure. And it might be something I add to the list. It looks interesting. They've always... I do remember playing part of BioShock Infinite, because that was the one that was, I think...
in the clouds.
In the clouds, and I mean, I'm not trying to oversimplify when I say this, but that was like the brighter, more vibrant BioShock, right?
Yeah, because the previous two were underwater, like,
yeah,
basically the city has already fallen, and
yeah,
in Infinite, you basically were seeing the city on its way to falling, basically.
Yeah, so those are, like that, and like Dishonored, as well as Witcher, are all things that are all franchises that I have definitely have piqued my interest before, and I would love to visit them. Now, with this, however, not playing any of those BioShock games, it looks cool, it looks interesting to me, but the feedback that I gather from social media is essentially what you called it, is that this is BioShock Space. And people were hoping they would maybe go a different art direction, or, like, it looks like he just took what he knows and the people that he knows that are talented and what they know how to do, and said, do what you know how to do. And it's like, oh, it's making a BioShock game. Okay, but just don't call it that. Like, that's kind of what the perception has been around this game, my perspective of reading social media.
Oh, no, it definitely has those vibes in terms of, like, okay, I get first-person shooter. He likes there being powers coming out of people's hands. That's fine. But even, like, the art style, like, I'm going to have to look up the studio's, like, crew at a certain point, their staffing, because I just want to know, like, is the art people the people from the BioShock games, because the designs are very much BioShock, and it could also be like Ken Levine is just like, that's how I like my games to look, and that's why it looks like that. But it definitely made me go, 2K I think said they're working on a BioShock sequel not too long ago, like maybe like before the pandemic. And I just wonder what's going to go on with that in terms of like, oh, hey, the brain behind BioShock is making a BioShock, basically.
Well, the immediate concern that comes to mind, and I don't know if this, like, and again, I haven't played either one of these games, so this is just what's front and center right now, is Callisto Protocol is supposed to be like a spiritual successor to Dead Space, correct?
Yeah, spiritual successor, as much as you can say that with Dead Space coming back itself.
Yeah. And that's what I feel like this is right now. What Judas is a spiritual successor, to BioShock. Of Ken Levine left the studios that he had that were affiliated with 2K, probably because 2K wanted him to make BioShock 3 or whatever it would be called. And he didn't want to, but then he kind of is. So it's really... And again, none of us have played this, so we don't know if this... I would assume that this storyline will not line up, but based on what we're seeing, it's probably going to have some similarities or some parallels, right?
Yeah, I mean, you would imagine just because it's the creator and writer, like, there will be some similarities, some parallels, but then when you break down the gameplay and even some of the art design, it's just like, yes, this seems like it's very much going to be on par with that. But yeah, one thing though, it seems like Judas is making a comeback. There's that name's popping up more and more in the last couple of years. It's kind of hilarious. But yeah, no, I don't know exactly what's going on from the trailer in terms of what we expect, but that's kind of on par with like what we see from like the BioShock games previously. Like, they always try and keep their secrets as close to the chest as possible. I just want to know how far away this actually is going to be. Yeah.
And to be fair, Ken Levine's games sell, and they sell well. Mm-hmm. So why would he not want to do this? You know?
I just wonder, will they have to put his name on the box or something? Kind of like...
from the creator of BioShock.
Yeah. Just because they can't put BioShock on the cover or anything, and
I think it all comes down to marketing and kind of in this day and age, getting it out there, previews, getting people getting their hands on it, letting them play it. So I think it really comes down to who's publishing this game.
Yeah, it's going to come down to like the marketing and everything like that. Just because like it just being called Judas, like that doesn't really tell you anything about the game. I mean, I assume we saw the main protagonist, which looks pretty cool. So just them getting out there and do the marketing in terms of letting people know, like, hey, here's a new franchise from the person who brought BioShock together. Mm-hmm. But also I want to know like the scale, because like I don't think this is 2K backed. It's hard to tell because like you read Jason Schreier's book. They talk about like Irrational Games. That company was folded, and then 2K gave Ken Levine money to make a new studio, which I think eventually folded as well. So I don't know where this lines up. Someone can correct us on Twitter in terms of like this is the studio that 2K gave him money.
Does Levine owe 2K a game? Like, is that kind of?
Yeah, I mean they owe PlayStation a Vita BioShock game, but we'll never get that. Yeah. So I want to know the lineage of how we got to here. I guess we'll find out one day. All right, next big thing. I also, when you look at the way I like bullet pointed this, it's like the big stuff's at the top and then it will slowly go down. Death Stranding 2 was announced, so I got one prediction right that Kojima will show something at the Game Awards. This was a batshit Kojima trailer. Death Stranding 2 is coming. It is partnered with PlayStation, like the first one, so I'm guessing PlayStation might have a piece of that IP. It's still going to be using the Guerrilla's engine, Guerrilla Games' engine. And yeah, I'm not even going to bother describing this trailer. It's just a batshit insane kind of crazy trailer, exactly what you would want from Death Stranding sequel and what you would want from, Kojima. He did speak afterwards and say, like, he had original plans for the sequel that he ended up rewriting because of the pandemic. Because I don't know if you remember the timeline of that, but Death Stranding felt kind of ominous because then the pandemic hit and everyone had to be locked up inside. So this is a rewritten version of what he originally planned, so I wonder how that's going to, like, play out in terms of, like, what could have been changed. We'll never know, but Kojima likes doing podcasts and tweeting, so we'll probably find out eventually what the original plans are for this. But Dave, did the trailer get you interested to go into playing Death Stranding 1? Probably not. Yeah, I figured.
I was doing some, while you were rambling about Kojima's ramblings, I did some quick Googling. So Ghost Story Games is the studio that is making Judas, and they are, on their webpage, it also says about Take-Two Interactive Software.
Okay, so this is the money that they gave him. But it's unrelated to like whatever BioShock project that they were working on, unless that's a big swerve, and this is the BioShock game.
Yeah.
2K's working on.
I just know that this studio is somehow, currently attached to Take-Two. So,
which now makes its similarities to BioShock a little bit more acceptable, because I'm sure 2K,
because Take-Two likes money.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. And if it was,
so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail, but I also just don't care about Kojima games.
Oh yeah.
Nor do I care about Death Stranding. So I'm sure that there are people that are loving this that really enjoyed Death Stranding. It kind of was what I refer to as kind of one of those slow burn games where kind of over time has gotten more people like, hey, this is pretty cool, but it's just not for me. So
the most I'll interact with Death Stranding 2 is once the game's out and people put all the cutscenes on YouTube. For the most part, because I just didn't find the gameplay that interesting. But it just shows Kojima is working on something. Death Stranding 2's coming within the next, couple years. And he, of course, has the deal with Microsoft for that, the future cloud game. So Kojima, at least, we have an idea of what he's working on, and it's not Silent Hill, it's not Metal Gear Solid, it's Death Stranding and whatever he's got going over at Microsoft. Another announcement, Hades 2. Supergiant Games are doing a sequel to Hades, which I loved. I want to say Hades might have been my game of the year our first year?
So it was either your game of the year or it was like your top 3 for sure.
Oh, I think it was the same year as Last of Us, so I think Last of Us probably beat it. But so this is just a straight up sequel to Hades. Different character. In the first Hades, you're trying to go from hell up to the surface, and this looks like it's going to be doing the reverse with another character where they're going from the surface trying to get down to hell. I'm super excited for this just because I want more of that universe, that writing, that music. So pretty excited. I will say I was probably a little disappointed because I wanted to see them do something else as opposed to doing a straight up sequel.
I was going to ask you that because like they've
every game has been different.
Done some bangers like Transistors and Bastion and and Hades. Like they've all been really cool art styles, kind of the same genre of game to an extent, the asymmetrical kind of top down look to them, but all very unique. And there's a like when they first the name of the studio is escaping me right now, but when it first said that the studio was showing something, I'm like, oh cool, like they did Hades, they did Transistor, they did Bastion, like what's the next thing that they're gonna do? Oh, it's Hades 2. That's cool, but
that was kind of my reaction too, of like, oh, Hades 2, but then I saw the gameplay stuff. I'm like, you know what, I could return to Hades again. Especially like I understand why they would do it, because Transistor, Bastion, good reviews, but like Hades crossed over into like that, like it sells merch, like the fan art for Hades is pretty out there.
Well, and I'm again, I don't know this like this, but it's probably a little easier to make this.
Oh yeah, they're a small studio
right now.
So
this helps. In terms of like they can, I hate to say this because people freak out about this, but they can 100% reuse some assets in this. To make it a little easier for them. Like, sure, like it's not going to be like, oh, this is the same thing from Hades. I'm just going from the top down instead of from the bottom up. It's not going to be like that. But you're probably going to see some similarities because you're kind of in the same area. So
God of War Ragnarok does it, maybe a little too much. So like Hades 2 could definitely get away with this, like, hey, we're going to return to some areas. You have enough new areas in there that when you return to old areas, you almost feel nostalgic. You definitely do that to try and help things out.
You there?
Yeah. You froze for a second on my screen, so I got a little confused.
You froze for a while on me. So.
Okay, well, still recording.
You said, yeah, so, I mean, like, God of War Ragnarok's done it, with essentially the same overworld as God of War. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, have fun editing that, Ange.
She could actually edit out us talking about it and just keep going. All right, we got Crash Team Rumble, which is a 4v4 multiplayer party game.
Tell me why people were so excited when the Crash Bandicoot tweeted the day before, and then this is one of those things of like, tell me what Crash game you don't want without telling me what Crash game you don't want, and this is not the game that I think anybody wanted.
Dude, literally, when they first started to tease like Crash is gonna have a new game, I was like, damn it,
yeah,
I want a Spyro game. And then I saw what they're making with Crash, and I'm like, you know what? I'm fine with them skipping Spyro, because I would have been pissed if the next Spyro game would have been the 4v4 party multiplayer game. I mean, this could be fun, but it just kind of screams.
This is not the Spyro game that people want.
Yeah, this is not the Crash game.
This is not the Crash game or Spyro game that people want. But hey, if the Crash Bandicoot community really truly wants to prove to Activision,
as of now,
that this is a thing, and you really want to see more Crash, you have to buy this game. If you don't buy this game, they're like, I get it, like you don't have to, like, it doesn't have to be like the best selling thing ever, but,
or buy Crash Bandicoot 4 several more times and hope they see that still selling. I mean, this could be fine. Like, this kind of screamed to me like maybe free to play or like a $20 game. I don't see them pushing this into a $60 to $70 range, but who knows? Activision needs the money right now because they don't know what their future holds. But this was definitely kind of a bummer. I was expecting more, and then they did like such a big reveal. I don't know if you saw the reveal, but they had like the person in the Crash mascot suit like crash the stage, and it was just like, oh, what are they doing?
I was playing Destiny during this.
Okay.
Full disclosure, I was playing Destiny during this with a group of people, and Wyatt QWERTY was almost like play-by-playing the Game Awards in our party chat, and he's like, oh, there's a guy out on stage in a Crash suit, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, and he's like, oh, it's a Crash kart racer. Like,
yeah, but the worst part is it's not even a kart racing game. That was good. It's just like
or I don't know if that's what he said. It's a multiplayer game. It's a Crash multiplayer game. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
it's like, okay.
I was like, oh, it's like a competitive 4v4 Fall Guys sort of thing. Cool. But yeah, so that was announced. Then we got Bayonetta Origins. This is like a top-down action game featuring like a younger Bayonetta, completely different art style. Actually, it looked pretty cool. It's definitely a change I wasn't expecting to see.
Is Platinum making it?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, that's cool.
But it definitely was something I wasn't expecting from Bayonetta, especially the director was talking about like there will be more Bayonettas if Nintendo wants there to be more Bayonettas. So seeing this was kind of a shock. But I do like when franchises kind of like take chances and kind of do some offshoots and dabble in different genres. So that looked pretty cool. Dave, the trailer for Crime Boss. This is coming from 505 Games. Takes place in 90s Florida, or like a fake 90s futuristic Florida. And it has Michael Madsen, Danny Glover, Chuck Norris, Vanilla Ice, Michael Rooker. I don't know what the hell this game is, or what it's trying to be. I'm assuming it's supposed to be like a Grand Theft Auto, but like this trailer was kind of wild for like telling us absolutely nothing other than they spent a lot of money on the cast.
Yeah, I'm looking at the trailer again right now. It's got a really cool art style, in terms of what I'm seeing, but this is one of those things like we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago with like the Mario movie. Like, are you making a cool 90s crime drama game, or are you making a video game that has cool voice actors?
Yeah, and not even like cool voice actors. It's just stunt casting.
Yeah. Like, do we want Vanilla Ice and Chuck Norris in a video game?
Probably not. Will their performances be good? Probably not. But yeah, it definitely is
especially Chuck Norris essentially playing Walker, Texas Ranger, as I see it on the screen here.
Yes, I guess. Like that's the thing. It's this whole thing was just like, hey, we're gonna get a bunch of stars from like the 90s and 80s, and we're just gonna throw them in a game to get people interested. And it definitely made me curious of like, what are they making?
Curry's like, it looks good, and he's like, Ice Ice Baby, yes we do. And I think it's because Curry's at least 6 years older than I am.
So this is like prime, like,
yeah,
Curry time.
Like he's in his mid. I think he's in his mid to late 40s. I'm not gonna say early 50s to offend anybody, but I think so yeah, 48. Okay, so this is, he's got about 9 years on me. So like, I could see the audience that you're going after for this, but this is not, when you hear about these games and stuff, like if this is a AA game, cool, and it sells a couple million copies, great. Like, what are the expectations for this? And I don't think you can do a double, like in this day and age, I don't feel like you can do a AA game that's okay to selling 2 million copies when you have these names in it.
Yeah, and they're not super expensive names. I mean, we're talking about like Chuck Norris, Vanilla Ice, but like Michael Rooker is probably the biggest current star. And I think Danny Trejo's in it as well. But like, they're kind of pitching what almost makes it seem like a Grand Theft Auto throwback because of the casting. It's called Crime Boss. But like, to your point, like, can you do a AA Grand Theft Auto? Because Saints Row tried and they did it for a little bit, but it didn't work out. So I need to know more of where this game fits before I get too excited about it. But definitely a great way to get like buzz around a unknown IP or a new IP and get buzz for your trailer than be like, yo, you remember these people? Like several times over. But yeah, I mean, it worked. It's on my radar. I'll pay attention to it, but I'm going to keep my expectations super, super low for this one. Probably, like, could this be the biggest one? From Software announced Armored Core 6. It's coming in 2023. It is not a Soulsborne game. It is not an open world game. It's focused on mech customization and boss battles. It is a Armored Core game. That's something they wanted to make very clear. This is not a Soulsborne game, which probably means Dave will better chance he'll play it because it's not a Soulsborne game. But yeah, trailer looks awesome. I know a lot of people were hoping for like a Armored Core Soulsborne, but they're just going to get an Armored Core game, which I think is good because From Software's learned so much in the years since the last Armored Core. But Dave, From Software, could this be your first one?
Possibly. I mean, I'm sure that there's a ton of stuff they learned from Elden Ring and Sekiro that they can definitely add to this to make Armored Core better. It's been a long time since we had Armored Core.
Since like the 360 era?
Yeah. So I think that they're kind of pulling at some at some nostalgic strings there. And we heard that their next game was relatively far along in development. Obviously, it is. And so I think that this is a great time for them to capitalize on their good publicity right now. They're coming, spoiler, whatever. Elden Ring won awards at this Game Awards. And for them to announce their next game that's coming in the next year, it just makes sense.
Yep. And, they teased that they will be doing some more DLC for Elden Ring. They've been talking about this game without, giving the name away for about a year now of like, we're done with our next game. So the fact that they're going to potentially get this out within the next year is just very smart because Armored Core is very niche. So you're going to get a lot of people to jump on this that have never played an Armored Core game.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about, again, a studio. When did Sekiro come out? 2017,
2017 maybe?
Yeah, so you're talking about a studio that's essentially produced 2 Game of the Year winners in a 5-year window, 5 to 6 year window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think you should play their next game.
Yeah, you play their next game. It's definitely a genre that is very appealing to people, like the whole mech stuff. Especially there hasn't been that many mech games since then, outside of like the occasional like maybe you can count Transformer games kind of into the mech genre, but there's definitely like a market for this. And then again, like even though they're telling Soulsborne fans, Elden Ring fans, this is not one of those. A lot of them are going to buy this game and still expect one of those, and maybe
they're getting there. I mean, they're either getting there or they're there. From Software is like, okay, it's a From Software game, like I'm playing it. It's a Naughty Dog game, I'm playing it. It's it's like I remember the name now. It's a super giant game, so I'm playing it. Like I enjoyed Transistor, I enjoyed Bastion, I enjoyed Hades, I'm playing it. I like Sekiro, I liked Elden Ring. I know that Armored Core is not that, but I like this studio, I'm playing it.
Yeah,
like that's great. So, and to get them, like we don't, maybe, like we've always talked about, like there's, IP fatigue of where the studio's like, I don't want to keep doing this. Like, I don't want to keep, like, let's just let the player have fun and blow shit up. Like, let's not make it, this, strategic, like, find out the pattern and run away from a battle. And, like, I've seen clips of people in Elden Ring dying in like 3 seconds when they think they have it all figured out. I'm like, but people love it. So hopefully they love Armored Core.
Yeah, and I think it's just From Software has hit that point where like people are just going to buy From Software games because of who they are. And so if they can turn this into another successful franchise.
I'm not being mean to Bloodborne. I'm sorry. I'm just saying the most recent ones before somebody comes at me, because they did Bloodborne as well. Correct?
Yeah. That's why I kept saying Soulsborne, is because like the Souls and Bloodborne are like their own entities.
But I'm just saying, like in the PS4 to PS5 life cycle, or Xbox One to Series life cycle. You're talking about Bloodborne,
Dark Souls 3,
Sekiro. Yeah, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Like,
four,
that's a lot.
Yeah, and all of them
those are like
more successful than the previous one. Like,
yep.
So they're definitely hitting that point to where you can probably put them up there with, like, you know, the Naughty Dogs in terms of just like what they do very well, and what they do is very. I don't want to say very difficult games, but they I can't quite.
They're on the Mount Rushmore of video game studios since 2015.
Yes, yeah, and you can argue earlier than that if you want.
Yeah,
but yeah,
right.
Sekiro is their big breakthrough. So yeah, we'll probably be hearing about From Software a lot, and they also had like a VR game thrown in the middle of there too. I don't know if you remember, but definitely very prolific. Last of Us Part 1 and Returnal are coming to PC.
Cool.
Yep. Last of Us Part 1 I think is coming in March or April.
If for some reason you're not a console gamer and you haven't had a chance to experience this game, play it.
Yeah. Returnal has some very demanding specs. Those started to leak, which is kind of funny. All right, but yeah, those are coming. I'm hoping.
Is that the game I heard about that I need like 40 gigs of RAM to play?
Yes, that is the one. Yeah.
I'm like, my brand new PC doesn't have that.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. But I don't think the minimum specs have come out, but that was like what they recommend. Then we got the next set of games are just basically games that got trailers and release dates. As opposed to everything else was just kind of like announcements with like vague windows. We got Star Wars Jedi Survivor coming March 17th. Trailer for that, Dave.
Awesome.
Did you finish the first one, or you got almost through it?
I got almost through. I probably should pick it back up and play it again, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel like I was over 75-80% done.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm assuming this is on your radar for like games you'd be interested in playing.
I would have to almost like look and see if I can reactivate my EA Origins thing, if that's still a thing, and I could probably pick my save file up where it was. And I think that was when I first was dabbling with trying to see if my PC could do anything.
And it barely could do the first one.
It barely could.
And now you have a good one, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's coming March 17th. Horizon Forbidden West, Burning Shores DLC is coming April 19th. Alloy heads to LA. Basically. Looks good. I like that the Horizon, they Guerrilla has mastered in terms of like with the Horizon games of like, here's the game, following year, here's the big DLC.
Yep.
So that's coming out. No word on like PC release for Forbidden West. I think people were kind of expecting that to pop up too, but they already
coming near a year, right?
Yeah.
We're like 10 months out, 11 months out from release. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm assuming they would have to wait for after the DLC to come out, so then they could put like a complete package out on PC. Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, got a new trailer. That's coming May 26th. This would be the last performance of Kevin Conroy as Batman, which this game better be good. Like,
this was this trailer was an homage to him, and I think they did a fantastic job with it. But at the same time, that's cutscene looks really good. Like, it looked really good. Now I still don't know what kind of game this is,
or we know we just don't know how it's going to like play out in terms of, is it going to be fun?
Yeah, but it looked really, really good. Like a beat up Flash, Batman showing up, kind of being demonized. It looked like almost, you know. It
had the humor you would want from Suicide Squad. Voice acting seemed kind of tinny, like they were recording in different booths from time to time, but that might just be me overanalyzing stuff. But it looked good. It just.
But again, I think it's just a cutscene,
mm-hmm.
so it's not game. It's not in game. It's probably not in engine. Maybe it is engine.
I don't know. Gameplay from this?
I don't think so. I think that they've. If we have gotten any gameplay, it's been like on top of the rooftops, really far away.
Okay.
Like, I feel like if that was even like you want to even call that gameplay, or if that was just kind of them like announcing the game. So,
but
I didn't know. I mean, I wasn't following, Conroy, but I didn't know that he was voice acting this Batman also, which I think is
well, they didn't announce it until the trailer, and then Jeff Keighley announced that this is his last performance as Batman, which is puts a lot of pressure on this game, or a little added pressure to this game, because if this game's bad, I think people are going to be upset that the last performance was Suicide Squad.
And I don't want to be this guy. Like I hate to do this because he just passed away, but we're led to believe that Suicide Squad is a games as a service, correct?
Potential, yeah, I believe so. But yeah.
So is this Batman thing a one and done?
I'm assuming,
or
it's
main story.
Yeah, I think it's a main story thing. I think if they do games as a service, it'll be additional superheroes that you're taking out, or villains. It is Kill the Justice League, so in theory you will face all of the Justice League in the main campaign, and then anything after that.
You hope.
Yeah. Unless you say the secret password and just say Martha, and then you don't have to fight certain characters. That is a possibility. But we'll see where this goes. The trailer looked entertaining. I'm still worried because May 26th is relatively soon. If they showed gameplay before, I don't remember it, which is not a good sign. Because
I agree.
I'm pretty sure I would remember, but I don't. Street Fighter 6 got a new trailer. Got a couple different character reveals. That's coming June 2nd. So not too far after Suicide Squad. Diablo 4 got a new trailer. That's coming June as well. And then Final Fantasy 16 got a new trailer, and that is coming June 22nd. So June is packed with games. All different genres. They shouldn't interfere with each other too much, but they probably will. It's a lot of games.
It's also prime time for when Sony. June, July is also prime time when Sony likes to bring out one of their first party games.
Yep, and that's last week. Then I say Factions would probably be like that summer game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot. Like that, Street Fighter 6, Diablo, Final Fantasy 16, and Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, all within 5 weeks.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
And all of them, save for Suicide Squad, look really, really good because we've seen gameplay and everything. So some heavy hitters, and that's the stuff that's announced as of today. Other stuff will get filled in to those times.
Out of those 4 right off the bat, I could totally see Diablo slip into September.
Yeah, especially it just getting a vague June release date. Especially,
and they'll blame the acquisition.
Mm-hmm. They'll say we just needed more time because of stability reasons. But yeah, Final Fantasy 16, I don't think that's getting delayed anymore. Street Fighter 6, there shouldn't be a reason to be delayed. And also, I think that...
And they want that out by EVO,
that's what I was going to say.
Or
yeah,
something.
EVO's usually July, August, so I think you want to get it out then. And then Suicide Squad, May 26th, I think that's probably locked in too, right? They can't delay that any further.
I mean, they never really... This is the first time they've dated it.
Yeah, but it's slipped windows.
They did push it out of 2022, so...
But yeah, that was all the major announcements that I can remember. That I know there were other announcements, but I think these are the ones that me and Dave would be interested in the most.
Well, what did you think of Wayfinder?
Which one is that?
It's the Airship Syndicate and Extreme. It's the Airship Syndicate and the Warframe team. It's a free-to-play endless action adventure.
I don't remember that. Step into the Wayfinder, closed beta coming. Oh, yeah. That kind of looked interesting, but it also just kind of gave me RPG Arcade-Ageddon vibes.
So this is the Darksiders team. Darksiders 1 and 2.
Okay.
And Darksiders Genesis. They didn't do 3. And then they're working with the Warframe team on a free-to-play MMO action RPG.
So I don't know if I'm in love with the art style for it. It's a little too cartoony for me.
Okay.
Which is probably why it kind of slipped my mind. From a gameplay wise, I kind of trust that pedigree to deliver some good gameplay. But I'm probably going to need to see more. And I'll probably try signing up for this closed beta that they're trying to do.
Yeah, I signed up for the PC one because it looked like the PC one's coming sooner, and I have the ability to do that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this is kind of what, I really enjoyed Darksiders 1 and 2 combat, and if they can add that combat into kind of a looter game style, possibly, sounds like it could be a really, really fun thing for me to play.
Mm-hmm.
And this was something that they've been teasing for like 6 or 7 months. So, but yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. That's what I had forgotten to say that last week, but it was kind of what I was the most looking forward to playing, is that I don't know if it was just the time when I played Darksiders 1 and 2 and then Genesis, they just really kind of resonate with me. So.
Yeah. And then on one I didn't include, the creators of Celeste will have a new game, Earthblade, but I didn't include it because it's a 2024 game. At least they're being honest that it's not coming for a while. But right. 2024 seems so far away, even though it's only a year away now.
And there's a Transformers game too?
Yeah, we got a little bit of a tease from Bandai Namco, I believe, about a Transformers game, but not much was shown there. And then there was like a Lords of Fallen game as well. There was a decent amount of like smaller announcements. Blue Protocol was the Bandai one from Amazon.
Okay.
And then there was like a Baldur's Gate 3 release window given as well. So like there was a lot of stuff in the Game Awards. Probably the most like even Game Awards in terms of like nothing.
Awards to reveals.
Rewards to reveals, even though only 2 games really won awards. It's not those games' fault. It just kind of gets tiresome seeing like the same games get awarded. But in terms of like announcements, I feel like they found like a good spot where it didn't feel like an underwhelming show by any means. But at the same time, it didn't like blow me away with the announcements, but it felt like a decent show for the most part.
The thing about it is that like it's the Game Awards are very cool, and there's some very cool and very unique games revealed, but I feel like the big stuff, like we're never gonna see. I don't feel like currently we're gonna see like a Ubisoft marquee franchise revealed there. Like we're not gonna see Avatar there. We're not gonna see Division 3 or Division 2 there. We're not gonna see. Like sometimes we've seen Naughty Dog tease stuff.
Yeah, I mean, The Last of Us
but we've
Part
never
2.
seen like reveals. But never really revealed, right?
I feel like they revealed something for The Last of Us, or revealed The Last of Us there.
Yeah, well, they showed like the teaser of like where people are analyzing a disease, like, and something like, if I remember correctly. But it's like Xbox is getting a ton of crap for not being there.
I mean, rightfully so. Honestly,
yes, I agreed. But all Sony showed was a DLC for a game that's already out,
and they showed the PC stuff, and then also they're partnered with Final Fantasy 16 and Street Fighter 6. So like they're at least there in terms of.
But I don't think
exclusives.
they control. Like I don't really know if they can control. We've always seen that. Like Capcom's always been like, okay, you're helping us with Street Fighter, thank you, but it's ours.
Oh
like,
no, for sure.
We control the messaging,
But right now,
so like I don't really consider that to be Sony. But yes, like these are the things that Sony's attaching themselves to, rightfully so, and they're doing the right thing. But like Xbox just had a showcase, and Sony didn't.
Yeah, but also I think PlayStation, based on all their stuff releasing in the last 2-3 years, we're in a time period where they're going to have to rely on a lot of these partnerships to like.
Yeah. I'm not criticizing Sony for being at the Game Awards, but then at the same time, I'm not criticizing Xbox for not being at the Game Awards.
Yeah, I see. I'm the opposite. I feel like Xbox should have shown something. They needed something.
Why?
Here.
They at their last thing, they said this is the stuff that we plan on coming out in the next 6 to 12 months.
But like I was at least hoping for at least an update on something, not necessarily new game reveals.
But they always do their own thing now, though. They just do their own. They'll just do their own showcase.
But they've used the Game Awards before as a platform for their reveals, like Hellblade. The console was announced there.
Yeah, and all they did was get crap though about it. They got crap about revealing the Series there. They're like, oh, you really just showed a box off? Like, they got crap when they revealed the Series X there. They got crap when they talked about Hellblade 2 because it didn't come out for so long.
Well, no, they got crap later on for Hellblade 2 for not showing up. But I feel like Hellblade 2 should have probably been there. Or something from Obsidian, even though I know Obsidian just released like their smaller game and Grounded. But like I feel like they have so many things that they could have revealed that they should have at least either revealed something or shown an update of something, especially
if
you tell me they couldn't have gotten a Starfield trailer out for the Game Awards.
If Microsoft doesn't do something in the next 4 to 6 weeks publicly as an event, then there is more criticism, in my opinion, on the Game Awards. But if post in the new year, like January 10th or 15th, Microsoft comes out and says, "Hey, here's an update on our plans for 2023," then I get it. Like, they want to control their narrative.
Yeah, and
if they don't do something by Martin Luther King Day, it's bad.
Yeah, and I feel like they're not gonna. I think PlayStation is probably really close to doing like a state of play soon, just because like the PlayStation Store finally has Spider-Man 2 on there, and other stuff. But like, I feel like we're not gonna get like Xbox event in January.
If we don't in a month, if we don't, I'll be criticizing Xbox like I have been. Like, where is it? What are we doing? Yeah. What's Redfall date? What's Starfield's date? Like, these things need to be dated. You can't just say 2023. Like, they need to start being dated. Like, and then hopefully dated and not delayed. But I think them necessarily not being there is not awful.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's awful, but I think they do deserve some criticism for not being there. Like they're not at the Nintendo status where Nintendo.
Yeah, but okay. At the same time, where the hell is Factions?
Well,
like, if this thing is supposed to come out the end of March, like the end of the quarter. Where is it?
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you too. Like, PlayStation should have done something with Factions, and it better.
Again, even a trailer that says March 2023, anything
So
I would have been okay with no gameplay. But where the hell is this game?
So we're about a month out from The Last of Us TV show premiering. If we get through the season with no Factions announcement during the season, then you got to hit the panic button.
If we get through the season, Michael, like, it's the end of the quarter when Sony's earnings call said it'll be out by the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah, like it'll be.
How many episodes? 6 or 8, probably?
6 or 8, I believe. It might be 8.
Okay, so do you think they take a week off?
HBO doesn't do weeks off anymore. So they
even going against the Super Bowl on a Sunday.
They haven't really given a shit, to be honest.
Okay, I don't watch enough shows on HBO to know that. So then if it's, what are we talking about? January 15th is the release date.
Yeah, so you'll get
show?
like 2-3 episodes in January, and then the other 3 episodes.
By the time the season's done, it's March 1st.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. If they get through the season with no Factions announcement, then like panic button Factions again, because because the season will end with The Last of Us Part 1 hitting PC, if this lines up properly.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worrisome. Like, Factions needed to be somewhere. I just don't know what's going on with that. Because at a certain point,
yeah, I mean,
you just pull the plug on Factions if it's going to take forever.
Right. Like, right now, and again, Microsoft hasn't released anything. Disclaimer before I make this sentence, right? Microsoft hasn't released anything, and Sony has released Ratchet & Clank and Horizon and God of War Ragnarok. Okay, but other than Spider-Man 2, what's coming?
Death Stranding 2, Final Fantasy 16, Street Fighter 6.
But from Sony.
No, I know. But like right now, I think we're in the phase where their first-party studios aren't ready and won't be ready anytime soon, which is why they're leaning on these console-exclusive partnerships. At least that's what they're doing. Is it great? No. But like, that's the phase we're in right now. We're in the phase that Microsoft has been kind of stuck in the last 2-3 years of just like, fuck, we got a partnership with Game Pass stuff until Starfield comes and until the next thing comes. So it's 2023.
And I don't count, before anybody comes at me, I don't count PSVR 2. I'm sorry. It's a $600 attachment.
Yeah, no, I don't count PSVR 2, and they haven't really.
It's very niche.
They haven't really announced anything major for that either. So, I don't know. Well, 2023 is going to be the year of the third party. I don't think we're going to see a ton of first party stuff.
We just watched Memorial Day to the 4th of July fill up like that. Like, we just watched it happen in one day.
Yeah.
Like, so it can happen, whether it's an Xbox showcase, a PlayStation State of Play. Like, it can and it will happen. But your earnings call said that your games, like, I hate to be this like, where are your games as a service? 10 games coming, by the end of 2025 or something like that. I think they said. I could be wrong on the year, but
I think so.
Where's the first one?
MLB The Show they counted. Remember they specifically said
okay.
MLB The Show.
All right, fine. Where's the second one?
That Twisted Metal game that had developers switched last second. I don't know. Yeah.
No, I know. I mean, and I'm not trying to like. I want to know. I like games as a service. Shocker. Like, I enjoy games as a service. That's why the Wayfinder game looks interesting to me. That's why But we had a Lightfall trailer. So what?
Oh yeah, I didn't even bother.
Yeah, I know what Destiny is. I want to know what else Bungie's working on. I want to know where Sometimes Always Monsters is. Like, I want to know what Haven's doing.
Would you be in favor if, like, Bungie was just like, all right, guys, we're wrapping up Destiny 2 to work on our new IP? Would you be like, finally?
I don't know if
or not winding down completely. If they're like, this is no longer our A thing. Like, we'll still keep Destiny running, but we're focusing primarily all of our resources on new IP.
I think that would depend on what new IP is.
Yeah, but like you wouldn't be like completely against the idea. You'd be like, okay, let's see what it is.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, it would have to be closer. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't either,
because of the growth that Bungie's been doing. But so that's why I have a hard time answering that question, just because I don't. But I would need to see what new IP is.
Yeah. All right, let's just quickly go over Game Award winners. So God of War and Elden Ring basically won everything that was non-indie. God of War won narrative, performance, music, audio design, accessibility, and action adventure. I think for the most part, definitely deserved a good chunk of those awards. Though I would say like music probably could have gone to something else because I feel like the soundtrack is mostly the same from God of War 1. Outside of a couple different themes tweaked and stuff. And also I could say that a little bit about the narrative. And then Elden Ring won RPG, which I think it probably shouldn't have got RPG. It probably should have went to like Xenoblade. Art direction, game direction, and game of the year. But yeah, those are like the two major things, or two major games that won all of the awards, which kind of, that's the part of the show that kind of felt like it dragged because it felt like trailer, here's Elden Ring, trailer, here's God of War, trailer, here's God of War. And it just kind of repeated over and over and over again. But we'll give our own Game of the Year award sometime in January. So this we'll at least acknowledge the Keeleys in terms of winning a bunch of awards. Because I'm almost done with God of War. Dave, you're probably like halfway through God of War.
I haven't gotten any farther.
Yeah, so
but I have some. This transition happens this week, and I've got some. I think in like a 9-day span, I think I have like 5 days off.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Like,
so
it's coming. So.
And I'm like 30 hours into God of War. I think I'm really close to the end.
God, just terrifying me.
Yeah, and I'm like, I put 70 hours into Elden Ring. So
yeah.
I think both.
I think the coolest thing about our conversation though is that you and I have played a vast variety of games, as well as a diverse variety of those games, of things that you've played and you've enjoyed and I've played and I've enjoyed. I think our conversation will be really good.
Oh yeah, for sure. Rarely will we agree on something because we don't always play the same things, but we at least.
But I think that's great though. I mean, like in terms of like what I know, like the 3 games that I feel like I enjoyed the most this year, like I don't think that you are going to be in your 3.
Oh no, I probably have not played any of those 3.
Right, and other than for the most part,
Yeah.
But and again, I'm not far enough in God of War to even say if that would or wouldn't be in my 3. So
it's not going to be in mine. But yeah, no, but I think like God of War and Elden Ring deserved like the vast majority of their awards. It just, I don't know if it made for the most entertaining show, just having them just constantly being mentioned. And we won't mention the weird awkwardness at the end of the Game Awards.
That overshadowed all of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that really sucked. But Dave, that's all I got for news.
All right. So what's delayed? I actually don't agree with this, but I'm going to talk about it. So, because you said Hogwarts Legacy, kind of. You put this in here. When they came out and said that the February release date, they said Switch and prior gen later.
Oh yeah, no, they only said Switch later. They never put it out for the PS4 and Xbox One being moved later.
All right, then I guess this warrants it. You get a pass.
Yeah.
So, all right. So Hogwarts Legacy has been delayed on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. The last gen game version will come out April 4th. PS5 Series or PS5 Xbox Series, PS5 Series X, PS5 Xbox Series, and PC are still slated for February 10th. So
yeah,
there you have it. Don't know why, but
I'm assuming they are having problems getting this running on last gen, and they aren't allowed to cancel it like Warner Brothers let Gotham Knights get canceled on last gen. I want to know what what they're gonna have to cut, because like Hogwarts Legacy, it looks really fucking good, but nothing screams to me like cutting edge next gen experience. So I want to know what's holding up the last gen versions of that game.
All right, so we're gonna do a quick what we're playing and watching, because again mine is short. So watching, again Michael's gonna roll his eyes, but I'm actually enjoying the Santa Clauses episode on Disney Plus.
Yeah, okay.
They had a good. This last episode was good, okay? and it talked about it kind of talked about him. The origin of him getting picked to be Santa Claus. So if you don't like the movies, you're probably not gonna like this show. I'm not saying I liked like the second one was okay. The third one was not good. The first one was good. So, I'm enjoying the show on Disney Plus. There's also a National Treasure show that's coming to Disney Plus that looks interesting as well. So I'm having a hard time finding stuff that I really is like cutting edge entertainment right now in general. There is a lot of just garbage on TV.
I'm rewatching Ouran High School Host Club, and I believe you enjoyed that anime when I forced you to watch anime a couple years ago. So maybe it's time to return to Ouran.
I'll pass.
Okay. You did enjoy the first 2 episodes you saw, so I'm just saying.
And then I did not play any more God of War this week. I did, like there was a new season of Destiny. I was messing around a little bit in that. They're getting to the point with myself and the Destiny community of where like the seasonal model is feeling very old. No, Curry, I have not watched Andor yet. The seasonal model is the Destiny seasonal model is feeling very old, very recycled, very reskinned, to where they kind of had to come out and say like, hey, we're aware, like we know that you guys are, kind of, like, tired of this. We're working on it. However, like a lot of their attention has been on Lightfall, blah 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 blah, like typical word service. So, the story narrative is just still fantastic. The seasonal events are getting boring, repetitively boring, and it's kind of just at this point where, again, I'm playing with the group of people that I enjoy playing the game with. We're messing around. We're doing some fun stuff. I get addicted for like an hour or 2 hours, but I'm not like coming home fiending to play it like I was years ago. So, nor have I felt that way outside of like the month of March of any of their recent expansion releases. So, that said, I did get my year in review recap from Sony, and I think I had 600 hours in Destiny this year. So
my PlayStation recap the last 2 years has been pretty low, just because I've been playing more on everything else.
I when I saw it, I kind of was discouraged at first, but then I felt kind of good because I'm like, I know that I put a significant amount of time into Nobody Saves the World. I put a good chunk of time into into Mario Rabbids and also TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Those are all things that were not played on PlayStation. I did have an increase in variety of games over the previous year on PlayStation, which is a goal that I've given myself, is to play more things, even if I'm only playing them for like an hour, to try more things. So like that's kind of where we're at with that. So but that's it for playing and watching for me. So.
For me, more God of War. So I think last week, 2 weeks ago, I was like, oh, I hit the 15-hour mark, and I think the game like increases in like quality or of the storytelling significantly. And I thought the story was like really ramping up, and I was like really getting into it. And then now I've kind of hit the point where the story feels like it's ramping back down again and kind of getting a little dragged out, which is a little bit of a bummer because I was really getting into the game, and now I'm just kind of at a point where I had like a boss fight that was like broken down into like 3 back-to-back chunks, and it was just kind of a bummer of just like cool boss like fight, and then it gets broken up, and then I do it again, and then it gets broken up, and then I do it again, and I'm just kind of over it. Like I hit the 30-hour mark in God of War, just like 2 days ago, and I've just been like, I'm done. I'm tapped out. I kind of don't want to keep going. And now I'm just like, you know what? I'm glad they're not doing a trilogy. You know, like, and I think this is a good game. Like if I like of my 30 hours, if I was to grade it, I would be like, yeah, this is like an 8. You know, like this is still a good game, still super high quality. It's just, I feel like it's retreading too much of like the first game, like the areas and the backtracking. Just I feel like I've been there a million times. So it's just, I don't know, it's just not clicking with me, and I think that's partially the problem with like the first one being so damn good that it's hard to top that first game, especially with how different it felt from the previous God of War games. So it might definitely just be a me problem, but I just want to finish the game at this point. But it just keeps going. And I know it might not be longer than 30 hours for most people. Maybe I am dabbling too much into side stuff, but that's definitely,
that's part of the world though.
Yeah.
Like it kind of like it you know, character building, world building, more narration. I mean, I know you want to hear Atreus talk more. So.
Oh yeah, I think the problem is just like they'll give you like favors or side quests like in the middle of an area, and you're doing story beat. And my reaction to most of them are like, they're like, hey, can you do this thing while you're here? And my reaction is like, fuck it, I'm here, fine, I'll do it. And then I'll go do the side mission, as opposed to being like, oh, I'm really interested in this. I'm just like, well, I'm not fucking backtracking unless you make me backtrack. So I'm just going to take care of this right now. Especially that they do so many things where you pass by an area and you're like, oh, you can't solve this puzzle now. And then when you finally get the weapon, you're just like, I guess I can solve this puzzle now. And then you just kind of get stuck in that loop. So I'll probably, hopefully finish it sometime this week. And then hopefully, Dave, you'll finish it sometime this month, and then we'll get back to that. So. I have been playing Vampire Survivors. This is,
I've heard some really good things about this.
Yeah, so it's kind of a game that plays itself. Okay. So it's basically, imagine like the most chaotic, endless waves of enemies coming at you, but for the most part, you're not actually doing the act of attacking. Your character attacks for you. So your whole thing is just surviving the waves as your character does all the attacks, and then collecting different power-ups for your character to become more powerful, have different abilities, different attacks, increased health. So it's mostly just about surviving and avoiding enemies. Like the enemies have to like basically touch you to do damage to you. So you're basically just trying to navigate your character around like hundreds and hundreds of enemies while it's auto attacking those enemies. It's quite addicting in terms of just like seeing how far of a run you can have, you know, like each time I played it, the first time I was like, oh, I lasted 10 minutes, second time 13 minutes, oh, I'm up to 15 minutes, now I'm up to 18 minutes, and then just kind of getting addicted to that of like learning as the game progresses all the different enemy types that you're going to encounter. And then after you complete like a wave, you get to pick a new, like, it's like either an ability, an increase in your stats, or something like that. So picking the different stats and abilities to like try and level up your character the way you think is going to help you progress in the game a little bit longer. It's super addicting. It's on Game Pass on PC, Xbox. It's on PlayStation as well, and it just hit mobile phones, and I'm kind of tempted to put that on my phone because it seems like the perfect kind of phone game because you're not really doing the attacks, you know, you're just moving your character around. So I might end up, I'm probably going to end up doing the thing I did at my last job where I just keep an Xbox controller in a desk drawer, so then on my lunch I could just, you know, hop into a game. I do have a do have a Minecraft controller, a spare Minecraft controller, so that might end up at my work desk for when I'm on lunch. But yeah, I've been playing Vampire Survivors. I see why people are addicted to it. If I'm still addicted to it, this will probably be a game that slips into like my top 3, top 5. Because I can see it kind of doing that for me, though. I think I mentioned anytime we talk about Game of the Year, I keep an ongoing list of like my Game of the Year. I think my top 3 is pretty much set. So I don't think Vampire Survivors will crack that top 3, but it could get close. It could get very close to being super addicting.
Honorary nomination.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just basically everything I've been doing. You know, I've been modding some Game Boys in my spare time.
Yeah.
And buying PS3 games that I'll never play.
Yeah.
But that
you've kind of been personally responsible for kind of bringing some like every other day life to our Discord usually.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's gonna be a lot more this week.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's pretty much been everything. I haven't been watching anything really on TV. Outside of watching like anime that I've seen 100 times before.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to skip questions this week, and we're going to briefly talk about what the rest of 2022 is going to look like. Oh, not going to happen. So we are going to take off the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's. So we will not be releasing an episode on the 23rd or on the 29th.
Yeah, 22nd and 29th.
Yeah, okay, sorry. 22nd and 29th. So we will not release an episode at all. We're going to do kind of what most of the other video game industry does, and just not, take off the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's in terms of producing content. It doesn't mean that we're not going to be recording content, but we're just not going to be
no weekly show coming out those 2 weeks.
Releasing our weekly show. Like there are a couple of things that we have planned. Our typical our look ahead and our look back episodes, as well as like what Michael indicated, like a God of War spoiler cast. Like the look back usually ends up being our Game of the Year kind of show as well, and tentatively those will release the first 2 weeks of January. So that's kind of where we're at right now with this, and reason being is as you guys can all tell, news is super light, and it also gives Michael and myself a chance to kind of dig in and play, and figure out what we really think, what we enjoy, maybe go back and revisit something to remind ourselves if we like it, like how much we liked it or how much we didn't like it. So that's kind of where we're at with the rest of 2022 and the beginning of 2023. So I'm just kind of giving everyone a little bit of an update. We'll put some of this stuff on social media as well, just to kind of give everybody a reminder. And to, again, you guys know that we're always very honest with you. You guys don't listen to podcasts in December.
Specifically around Christmas. We learned that last year during Christmas. It's like no one's really listening to video game podcasts during Christmas.
Yeah. So whether you're spending time with your family, whether you're on a break from work in general, or you're not going to your office, or you're not going to your office as often, so you're not commuting, or like anything. There could be 100 reasons going on of just it's holidays, you're spending time with your family, you're doing things like so. If you really want to listen to us, I know this sounds kind of greedy and backhanded a little bit when I say this. I'm saying it with a smirky and in a tongue-in-cheek note. We've got a ton of stuff on Patreon you can listen to if you haven't heard it yet. So
yeah, and also just like we know some people are already behind on episodes, so this gives them 2 weeks to catch up before we hit you with another stretch of episodes uninterrupted.
Yeah, because you'll start. We'll go into 2023. So that with our we're gonna hit the ground running in 2023, and our weekly cadence as well. Back as soon as once all that stuff releases, it gives Michael and I a nice little bit of a mental break of doing this, as well as getting us kind of like a refresh to get ready for the rest of the year, as well as giving you, like he said, giving you guys a chance to catch up, and. It's nice to think about not recording for a couple of weeks.
Especially you're
just
about
to
to transition jobs too, so you will probably use some time as well.
Yeah, it's kind of all lining up pretty well. So, but with that in mind, like I said, we'll be discussing this stuff on social media. Michael, I'm sure will be in the Discord posting pictures of stuff that he's buying or tinkering with or finding. I'll be on Facebook. I'll be on Twitter. I'll be in the Discord periodically as well, depending on what conversations are happening. But you can follow us on Twitter at Digital Days Pod. You can follow Michael at the First MJC. You can follow myself at Good Dave Hunt. The link to the Facebook group and the Discord server is in the show notes. I'll put it on. I'll probably periodically during the next couple of weeks just tweet it out or Facebook it out in the group and stuff like that. So I hope that everyone has, because I guess we have to say this, has a happy holidays. However you're celebrating, be safe. Have a great new year. Again, we truly appreciate all of the support in 2022 for DDG. I don't have any like statistical things to tell you, or we're not that kind of people. So, but constantly showing up in Twitch chat, subscribing through Twitch, being active on Discord, Facebook, Twitter, all of the above is always appreciated. It makes doing this so much fun for us that we want to do this. And I just hope everyone has a great holiday season, however you celebrate. Yeah,
and join a Discord. All right, if you're in a Facebook group, join the Discord. If you're in a Discord, join the Facebook group, okay? Because not everyone is everywhere, and there's always, like, different conversations going on, and I'm just like, man, I kind of wish a person here was over there, because they'd enjoy a conversation.
I feel like the best thing that could happen to Discord for us right now is PlayStation to get their act together and get it on PlayStation.
Yeah, just get some more randomness in that Discord.
Yeah, so... All right. I hope everyone has a great week, a great holiday, a great new year, and keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.